carefully look at this inventory worksheet, right? What you're going to notice at the very top is the main core of this worksheet is to focus on your purchases only. And this will explain exactly why I'm teaching you the sales process tomorrow. Okay? And the difference here is sales does not affect anything it has to do with your purchases. So for periodic and periodic only, sales does not affect anything that has to do with your purchases. When we move on to the other inventory, you're going to learn that everything and anything will affect your inventory. Whether you're making a purchase, whether you're making a sale, whether your customer returns something from you, whether you're, even when you return to your vendor, you're going to see a huge difference, okay? But for now, I just want you to focus here. That's why tomorrow we're going to learn about the sales process, and chapter 6 is really easy. It will blaze right through by. Okay. Going back to this, so here we're looking at our inventory worksheet. If you notice, if you look carefully, if I drag it down to the bottom half of this, you have your calculation on your cost on how to solve for your ending inventory and your cost of goods sold. Okay. I'm going to get rid of that number. And then here in the middle, this is your workspace. So this is where you can calculate your exact, whether you're solving for your ending inventory or your cost of goods sold. And then here you're going to have a little section here for any returns, allowances, and discounts. Okay, so let's go ahead and look at our first scenario here. So here, chapter 5, your number 1, your inventory method is periodic and it's FIFO. All right. Assume that all purchases are made on account, round to the nearest penny. Okay. So the first thing that happened was what?
We purchased 1,000 toys at $1,
Uh-huh.
and the freight cost was $50.
Yes. So this was June 5th. 1,000 toys at $1, and freight was 50 cents. Okay, so how do we go ahead and solve for this?
So the purchase price is $1,000.
Yes. Okay, and then what is our total cost here?
$1,050.
Good. And what is our cost per item? Now, do we need to solve for cost per item?
First in, first out, yes.
Good. And what did you get from here?
105.
$1.05 to sell each item. Okay, good. What happened next?
200 returned.
You returned 200 broken toys for a full refund. So, where are we going to put that in our inventory worksheet?
Returns, allowances, and discounts.
Yes. So, how many did we return?
200.
200 items. Now, at what cost is going to be each cup?
If it is full cost, it should be 105.
Okay. Why is that not correct?
Because it includes the freight.
It includes the freight, correct. Unfortunately, we're not able to do that. So we cannot do 105 because it doesn't matter, because the shipping, the freight is going to be separate from the actual cost that you actually purchased it for, right? So what?
I thought that when it's full cost, it includes the freight.
Okay. But this is us returning to a vendor. This is a full refund, yes, but shipping is definitely not included. Shipping, we had to pay separately to get the items to our store. So that is a complete separate cost from the actual purchase that we actually made. Okay? That only applies when we're dealing with our sales. We include everything, including sales tax. Okay? But in this case, we cannot apply it because you cannot get or you cannot get a refund on your shipping period. I don't know if that makes any sense. You can't ask the post office to give you a refund for shipping a product. All right. So what number am I going to be using this time? What's my cost per item this time?
$1.
It's going to be the original price that you purchased it for, which is $1. Okay. And then here, what is my total? What is my total?
200.
200. Good. All right. Now, see how this is right here. When we move on to actually calculating it, that's when you're gonna have to be very careful on how much you're calculating and what you're calculating, because ultimately you do have to go back and actually physically take out a certain amount from each one, and you have to be very careful to make sure that this is the correct amount. All right. So here, now we're gonna go ahead and solve for the next one. So what happened next? What happened on June 10th?
It was
850 toys purchased at 125.
Good. And freight was 45. So 850 at $1.25.
Pulling the calculator out for that.
So this was June 10, 850 at $1.25. And what do you get?
$1,062.50.
Let's see. $1,062.50. And my freight was
$50. That'll make it $1,112.50.
you said it was 50?
It's 45.
Oh,
It
45.
yeah.
Oh, otherwise, okay, gotcha.
Okay.
$1,107.50.
$1,107.50 is correct. And what is my cost per item?
$1.30.
Okay.
And
Yes.
goes into 294 and yada yada yada.
Okay, so good. Now that we recognize that we have more than 2 decimal points, right? Now this is where you have to make the executive decision. Are you going to choose to round now, or are you going to choose to round later?
Later.
Later? Okay. So we're going to keep this in your calculator. Yes. Okay, so we're going to keep this in your calculator. All right. What happened next?
June 12th, 50 toys were returned for being the wrong color.
All right. But what happened here?
There was a 20% discount.
Correct.
I'm
So,
gonna get out on this one because I'm gonna have to watch.
okay. So, 50 toys were attempted to be returned. However, because they were the wrong color. But the vendor persuaded you to keep the stuff, to keep the toys. And they gave you a generous 20% discount. And here you accept it. So, how do we determine this?
Do you take the inventory of 850 toys? Wait, how many were returned?
50.
To go back. 50
Oh.
were returned, so you take the 50 times the 20%.
Okay. But
Is that
what are you taking 20% of?
from the the 20% from, if you go back up, the cost
All right, I'm
of
here.
the original cost?
What did so what which number?
125.
125. Okay. I think you can do it that way. But we're taking the total cost. So we want to figure out, well, first off, how much is it going to cost me to return 50 items in general for the second batch? So 50, and it's $1.25. We want to know how much that's going to cost me to begin with.
$50.50.
Right? $62.50. Now I want to take 20% off of that because that's what they're going to refund me for.
$12.50?
Okay, let's
That would be
see.
the 20% off?
Let's see. Point two. $12.50 is correct.
Okay.
All right. Now we have to make sure we keep note of this. Now, did we really return 50 cups? I'm sorry, 50 toys.
No.
No. So this number is going to be, so it was $12.50.
Mm-hmm.
This number here is going to be 0 because we didn't actually return anything.
We just got the discount.
We just got the discount. And I totally forgot what we were supposed to be doing the whole time. So we were supposed to be journalizing everything in the we were supposed to be journalizing first, posting to the worksheet, and then continuing. So let's go ahead and journalize those first 4 transactions that we just incurred, and then proceed from there. So on June 5th, we made, what was my journal entry here?
Toys would be your description, right? Or are we just doing purchase?
What kind of method are we using right now to our tracking method?
FIFO.
That's costing method. Tracking method.
Oh. Periodic.
Periodic. And when we do periodic, how do you journalize a periodic inventory?
Inventory, right?
No.
Purchases.
Purchases, but what kind of purchases? Okay, so remember periodic, right?
Expense?
Purchase expense, you're correct. So remember, when we're dealing with periodic inventory, we need to recognize it as an expense first. And when we reach the end of the period, that's when we convert it into inventory. So yes, purchase expense is correct. Okay. Now, how much is this purchase expense for?
$1,000.
Yes, $1,000. Good. All right. What is my next account?
Freight.
Freight expense
Yes, freight expense
for $50.
for $50. Freight expense for $50. And then what is my credit balance? What is my credit account?
Accounts payable?
Checking. Or account, yeah, accounts payable.
Okay, yeah, because here, let's see. Assume that all purchases were made on account. So you're owing them. So in this case, accounts payable is correct. Now, what is an accounts payable? Like what type is an accounts payable?
A liability.
Correct. We're owing money. Okay, it's for $10.50. All right. Now, I don't know if I have space to enter a description here, but I'm going to go ahead and write purchase Okay, at $1 each, right? Now, what happened next was on June. Oh, I put 5 June 7. So let me change this real quick to June. On June 7, we returned 200 broken toys at a full refund. Okay, so how do we journalize this?
Is
How
it
do
accounts payable?
Yes, good. Why are we decreasing the accounts payable?
Because we're getting the money back.
Okay, let's rephrase that. Money back.
Because we haven't paid it yet, so we
We
have to decrease what the balance is.
Correct. Since we're returning something or they're giving us a credit for it, it's lowering what we owe. We haven't paid it yet. So we're decreasing our liabilities. Instead of owing more, we owe less. So good. Accounts payable, right? What is my account here going to be?
Purchase expense?
Not purchase expense. So remember, let's rewind it back to chapter 5.1 or 5.2. What happens?
Inventory.
Not inventory. Not inventory. No.
So I just return.
Purchase. Purchase. Okay, I got a bunch of okay, so purchase, returns. What's the other one?
Discounts?
Not discounts.
Allowances?
Allowances. Yes. I'm going to do allow for short. Yes. So, an allowance is basically a credit. It allows us to apply it anywhere, right? Where an actual return is a full refund. So they'll give us the amount that we owe or give us back the amount that we purchased it for. An allowance gives you a little more freedom you're attempting to return, but instead you're accepting credit that can be applied anywhere else. All right? Now, there is only one reason why we have to use a purchase returns and allowances. What is purchase returns and allowance? What kind of account is a purchase returns and allowance?
A contract?
It's a contra account. That's correct. Yes. And the only reason why we have to have this as a contra account is because when do we actually convert this into inventory?
At the end of the period?
At the end of the period. So right now, if we reverse our purchase expense, it's going to make us confused and miscalculate. So instead of doing that, we created a contra account to kind of place it somewhere to keep track of what we've actually done. Okay, so in this case, purchase returns allowances is a contra account that we're just using it as a placeholder to place back where our actual returns are, because we're making purchases. We don't calculate it until the end when we're at the end of the period, and that's when we start converting it into inventory. So that's why we cannot just dive in, because as of right now, we don't have a clue how much inventory we have. So, yes, so we need to create a contra account, purchase returns and allowances. All right, and we did solve for it earlier. And we solved it for $200. Okay, so here, 200 here, and then even equal and opposite, it's going to be 200 here. And here, I'm going to put a little small description saying return 200 toys at $1. Okay, and I put each. Now what happened next? What happened after we made that return on June 10th?
Lynn, I have a question.
Yes.
Now, let's say we assume that we purchase everything from a same supplier.
Okay.
If it is different suppliers, do we have to maintain separate account payables?
Yes. So for okay, so but are we using the same company to purchase everything from? As in like this supply store is where we buy our supplies and our inventory items. Is that what you're asking me?
Yeah.
No, you don't need to create a separate accounts payable, but you do need to create separate accounts for the specific items that you purchase for. Now, for example, purchase expense, right? Purchase expenses, it's going to be a broad but general thing. Now, in previous lessons, we did teach with the fictitious business, we did teach that when we have multiple items that are purchase expenses. Now, for you to determine and to keep track of it is your inventory worksheet. So you do need to create separate worksheets for those separate things. Now, what you can do is if it makes more sense to you to separate your purchases for inventory and your purchases for your supplies, then you may do so. Now, don't confuse that supplies is not the same thing as your inventory. Okay, so you need to make that executive decision. Well, is this a business supply or is it something I plan to sell? And if it is, then it's going to be considered inventory. So yes, you can make multiple purchases with multiple accounts under one same company. Do you need to create separate accounts? It's only what you think is best for your company. Okay? If it makes more sense to separate your transactions, then separate them. If you want to keep it together, but you know because it's your method of how you're calculating this transaction, then you make that executive decision to whether split it or not. Okay? Does that answer your question?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. So on June 10, we purchased 850 toys at $1.25 with freight of $45. So let me go ahead and maybe I should just fill out this worksheet as I go because I don't like going back and forth so much. So here's that and here's that. We have 1,000 here, 850 here, $1 here, 125. And then this one was, what was the total purchase price for this one again?
And 62.50.
1062.50. 1062.50. This one was 50. This one was 45. And what was my cost per item here? 105. And this one was 130, blah, blah, blah. Okay, I'm just going to go dot, dot. No. 2. No. All right, I'm just going to leave it at that. Our returns and allowances, we had 200 items at $1, which got us a grand total of a $200 refund. Now, the last thing that we just looked at is we need to journalize for that third transaction. So my third transaction happened on June 10, and what is my journals here?
Purchase expense,
Good.
The freight expense is debited and accounts payable is credited.
Good. All right, and this was for
Am I the
Uh,
only one not seeing anything on the screen?
you may have to click my icon and pin me down. Because if everyone else is talking, it might shift to their screen. Can everyone see my screen?
I'm able to see it.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay, so was that Nora?
You have to change
The layout. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll change the layout.
on the
Okay.
top, but on the bottom left hand.
And don't I would suggest you to do sidebar, not spotlight, because spotlight, if everyone else talks, it's gonna immediately shift the screen to whoever's talking. Okay. So here, what was it? $1062.50 plus $45, and my grand total here is how much?
1107.50.
$1107.50. Ooh, I don't think I even answered that at the top. I left it blank. Wow, I don't even have a total cost. Oh, right here. My bad. Okay. And then you said this was 1107.50. 1107.50. Cost per item is 105. And this was 130. And going to, there you go. Okay, so good. Now, the next thing that we were going to look at is going to be this right here, where number on June 12th, you return is 50 toys for the wrong color, but you accepted a 20% discount, which we solved for down here. We knew that we're getting rid of, well, we're not getting rid of 50, but for the price of 150, which would cost you $1.25, gave you $62.50, and we're taking only 20% discount off of that. So therefore, it was for like $12.50. Is that correct? All right. So now that we have that number, let's journalize this. Okay, so 612. All right, so how do you journalize this? How do you journalize this discounted item?
Wouldn't it be the same way? Accounts payable and then purchase allowance?
Yes, perfect. Good. Because this time we're not returning the items, but however we are getting some kind of form of money back. So I'm gonna go ahead and right here, 20% discount on 50 toys at $125 each. Okay. Oopsies. All right, good. And it was for $12.50. Okay, now we can go back to where we were before. So, what happened on June 20th?
Purchase 500 toys.
At how much?
$1.50.
$1.50. So, now, here is what I generally would ask you to do. So, in this scenario, your general rule of thumb is to always journalize first because that's your transaction. At least lay down your accounts. Now, because the whole purpose of the inventory worksheet is to help you calculate your total amounts. So when you come back to the journal, you're able to post it here. So in this case, what do we know that needs to have to happen? Because we made a purchase, right? Oh no, I skipped one. I didn't even write what my description was. Okay, so again, what is my foundation here for my journal for the 20th? If I made a purchase, right, and I know there's freight included, and I know it's going to be on account, what is my first assumption when I journalize this?
You're gonna debit your purchase expense
Mm-hmm.
always,
Always.
and then you're gonna always, debit your freight expense.
Correct.
And since it's on account, it's accounts payable.
Correct. Okay. So, yes, you can do it like this because oftentimes, just like what I just did this morning, right? When we first dove into the scenario, all I did was focused on my just filling out the worksheet, okay? And that's what is a common mistake too, is sometimes when you're so into it, all you want to do is just focus only in here. But the number one thing that you have to do, and always is true, is you need to journalize first and then do everything else after. Because oftentimes, just like what I did, I forgot to go back and journalize. So in this case, we already have our journal laid out. So we are purchasing how many toys? 500 at $1.50. And my freight is $25. Yes. Okay, so what do I do here? I mean, what is my total purchase price? $7.50. All right, and then what is my total here?
$7.75.
All right, and what's my cost per item?
$1.55.
$1.55. Perfect. Okay. And then here, now that I solved for it, now I can go ahead and bring it down to my journal. So I got $7.50 and $25. All right. So what was my purchase expense again? $7.50. My freight expense was $25. Therefore, what is my total accounts payable here? $7.75. Because we filled out all that information right here. Okay. All right. What happened next on the 21st of June?
Return 20 items for a full refund.
We returned 20 items for a full refund. Now let's look at it cost me. How much did it cost me? Assuming that, yeah. Did I say 20 items at $1.50?
Yeah.
Okay. Assuming that every time you make a purchase, you're returning the previous batch that you made. Okay. So in this one, how much am I taking out? I mean, how much was my total?
30.
$30 even. Okay. Good. So now we can go ahead and journalize this. Okay, so what is my journal here? Was it the 21st? Right. Well, what is my journal here?
Accounts payable,
Mm-hmm.
debit with credit purchase return and allowances.
Yes, the payable. I forgot another description here. I'm so bad at descriptions, man. We purchased, was it 500 toys? no, I'm gonna do purchase 500 toys at 150 each. Okay, so this one now we're returning. So I'm gonna write return 20 toys at 150. Okay, so and we calculated this to be $30 even. Okay. All right. Now what happened next? Since let me see, we're almost done. On the 25th of June, what happened here?
600 toys were purchased, at $1.75.
Mm-hmm. Let's see.
175, $1,050.
600 toys at $1.75. What did you say it was? 1,000?
10,000, 1,050
1,050?
plus freight, which was $30, makes that $10.80.
And what's my cost per item?
That's a good question. $1.80.
No, that I don't. No, that can't be. That can't be. Not, that, I don't think that's true.
Isn't it,
what I got.
Hmm?
1080. You did get $1.80.
Yeah.
Wow, that's cool. It came out completely even. $1.80. I was looking at it. I was like, wait, that's not 10, but then it's 1080. Okay, cool. $1.80. All right, now we gotta journalize that for the 25th of June. All right, so what's my accounts here?
Is it accounts payable?
Accounts payable is one of the accounts, but are you going to debit it first or are you going to credit it?
It was purchase expense,
Yes, purchase expense,
then freight expense.
then freight. Good. Yes, because we're increasing our expenses, right? We're increasing our expenses and we're increasing our accounts payable, the amount that we owe, because reason being is because we made a purchase of 600 purchase 600 toys at $1.75. Okay. So here we solved from above, which was $10.50. $30 freight gives us a grand total of $10.80. Okay. And then lastly, let's see. Ooh, okay, so I didn't have enough journal space for this one, but let's go ahead and do the last part. So 30, what happened on the 30th of June?
Inventory is 1,250 toys.
Exactly. Ending inventory is going to be 1,250. So at least since we know that piece of information, I'm going to find my ending inventory, which is here for 1,250. Let me fix my screen a bit, or my table, because it's supposed to be not this messed up. Okay, okay, there you go, perfect. So, what's my first thing I gotta do when I'm going to be calculating my total, my information here? What do I do first when when I'm at my end of the period, which is the 30th?
Pull everything up.
We gotta total everything up. So how many total toys do I have?
29.50.
29.50. All right, and how much did it cost me for this for my purchase price?
38.62.50.
38,062.50.
38.62.50.
$38.62.50.
$62.50. Take the zero out.
38,
No.
6. Okay, again.
38,
Right there.
50.
38.
Yep, that's it.
624.
Oh, that's it. Oh, okay. Okay, all right. And then what's my total freight?
150.
150. All right, that gives me a grand total of what?
$4,012.50.
$4,012.50. Okay. All right. Now, this is the crucial part that you have to be very focused on when we move into our solving for our ending inventory. So let's go ahead and transfer all the information down here. So I have a total of 2,950, and my total cost for that is 3,862.50. Now let's go ahead and let's actually calculate how much my returns and allowances are for. So here, what's my how many items am I returning in total?
220.
220. Okay, and how much am I actually going to be taking out?
242.50.
242.50. Okay, and this, looking at this piece of information right here, we're going to transfer it over to here. So my returns and allowances is going to give me, what is it, 220 and 242.50. Now what I'm going to do here is I'm supposed to subtract it, right? Look at this indicator here. So what is 2,950 minus 220?
27.30.
27.30. And then here, I also do the same thing as subtract. What is my answer here?
36.20.
36.20?
Mhm.
All right, even. Perfect. All right. What is my freight? 150? 150. All right, and my total purchases here is going to be 2,730 at
37.70.
good. All right. So now that I move on to the second portion, we don't have beginning inventory, so we can go ahead and ignore that. So that means our net purchases, we're going to bring it from here and bring it down here, which is going to be also our total here as well. So now that we have a remainder of $12.50, what is our total cost of goods sold?
$14.80.
$14.80. Oopsies. $14.80. And now we got to solve for our total cost of goods sold, or our ending inventory. So here we're focused on which method? Which costing method are we focusing on?
FIFO.
FIFO. All right. Now this is where the tricky part is. You're going to have to backtrack and make sure that these are added in there before you calculate this. Okay, so because we're going to go for our first one, right? Our first batch that we have, do we still have that those 1,000 items left?
No.
No, we don't. So we need to make sure that we take our 200 and subtract it out. So out of our 800 items, it's still gonna cost. It's still gonna Hold on. So oh shoot, now it's gonna change the cost per item. Since we're going to be using are we going to use the whole batch, or are we going to continue not using the whole batch? Okay, hold on. All right, so okay, now I can see why he does that. All right, so let's go back and do this again. So there are two ways of doing this. you can go in and recalculate everything, but you're going to get different answers and different numbers. Now, this second method, which I think is actually a lot clearer, is as if we were to just calculate our total cost of goods sold, right? And we subtract our total purchase returns and allowances. Okay? And what I mean by this is let's just do the second way, and then we'll go back and do the other way. Okay? So in this case, we're not going to do any calculations here. We're just going to transfer the information over, and then it will make more sense when we go down the line. So first batch that we have is 1,000, right? So how many did we sell?
A thousand?
A-
No, 800?
1,480 is our number, right? 1,480? 480?
Oh, I thought you were just talking about from the first.
Yes. So yeah, the first batch, yes, is 1,000. So I'm going to go ahead and type in 1,000 here. And we're going to do the whole batch, correct?
Yes.
For $1.05 each, which gives us 1080. Actually, 1005, 10. Is it 1080 or 1005? Okay, yeah, 10. Oopsies. I don't know what I'm typing. 1050. 1050. There you go. So we know that we're going to take this whole batch of 1050. Okay? What we know here is that we don't actually have those items here, so we're going to go ahead and safely transfer this over, saying, no, we don't have it. So we need to make sure that we know that this is negative. Okay? Now you can either do this now or you can wait till the end. And in this case, I am actually going to wait till, actually, that's fine. We can just do it now. Okay? So here. Okay. So we can, if we actually calculate this, okay, or if we always have a sum balance at the end of the day at the bottom here, right, at our total, this should be currently 800 items, right? Because we are taking our first batch, but we're subtracting what we've returned. So in this case, you're ultimately calculating the same amount, except you're doing it separately. I don't know if that makes any sense. As in, instead of calculating it 800 at the top and calculating your new total amount here, this one is going to do it so everything, you don't have to touch anything. All you have to do is just calculate. Okay? So now that I know that I have 800 sold, how many more do I need to go?
680.
Yes, so let's go ahead and go into the second batch, which is 850 at 1107. 850 at 1107.50. Okay, and this one is for $1.30 blah 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 cents, 29 something. Now, because we're getting rid of all of it, right? In this specific, I transferred it over here. In this specific example right here, we notice that we had a discount on it, right? That doesn't affect my quantity, but it does affect my cost. So here, I'm going to go ahead and transfer that over here and say, well, you can't minus 0. It's going to be the same number. But what I can do is I can minus the 1250 out of this one. So now I have 1650. That's too much, right? That's too much, right? 1650.
Mm-hmm. Right.
So how much am I supposed to actually cost out now?
230.
230. Okay. So if I were to calculate this one, 230. All right.
Wait, why would you? Why? I don't understand why you're changing that one.
Because if we sell, oh wait, hold on, I got it. We're supposed to subtract 850 from 230. Hold on. So we're supposed to subtract. So this is six. This right here, if we add it all together, 800 plus 850 is 1650. That is way too much than what we originally sold it for. Right? We only sold 1480. So you said 230 is what we need to subtract out of this batch right here, correct?
Yeah.
So let's calculate this right now. So what is 850 minus 230?
680.
680. Okay, let me go ahead and get rid of this. I spoke too soon for this one. Okay, so now that if it's 680, how many items, how much is my total cost here?
Are we rounding or not rounding?
We're not rounding. So we round at the very end.
885, 972.
Say that again. 885, 92.
972.
I'm sorry, again.
$885.97.
So since the next number is 2, you're going to safely round it to 97.
I thought we weren't rounding.
We round at this part right here because this is what we're journalizing. So we don't round the unit cost or the cost per item. We only round the total cost because you can't subtract a tenth of a penny, but you can multiply a tenth of a penny. I don't know if that makes any sense. This is the number that we're journalizing at the end of the day. Yes?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. So let's go ahead and total.
Excuse me, I'm kind of lost. I'm lost. I understand where you got the 680, but where does the 20 the 20 quantity, is that the amount that was left? I don't understand.
This is from the third batch that we bought, but we haven't even touched the third batch. The 20 here?
Mm-hmm.
This is from batch number 3. We didn't touch batch number 3. We don't need to touch batch number 3. Okay? Yes. So what is my grand total here now? If I were to add up the sums of this should be what? 1480? And what is my total price here?
1735.97.
1735.97. Okay? So that's your ending inventory right here. My ending inventory is going to be for 1735.97. All right, then what is my total ending inventory now?
2034.03.
2034.03. Okay, And that is what you need to use for your conversion entry. And let's do that real quick and then we'll call it a break and come back to do the rest. All right. So here is 2034.03 and we got 1735.97 and we have all this information, okay? So again, let's practice our conversion entry here. What do I need to do here?
Inventory,
Okay, is there a specific item we actually purchased?
toys.
Toys. Yes. So when it comes to inventory, you don't want to shove everything into inventory. You want to be specific on the item that you buy. So toys, yes. All right. What else am I also including?
Cost of goods sold.
Cost of goods sold. And, okay. What else am I including?
Purchase expense, freight expense, and toys.
Did we have beginning inventory?
Inventory.
No,
Oh, no.
we didn't have.
No, so you don't need to include it. No, we don't need to include it.
Why is there a space between cost of goods sold and purchase expenses? Is there something that's supposed to go right there?
Correct.
Okay.
Oh, returns and allowance, right?
Correct. Correct. So we need to also zero our contra account. Purchase returns and allowances. All right. So what are my numbers that go here? So what's my total ending inventory? Actually, what is my total toys that I'm converting into inventory?
1250?
1250 is the quantity.
Okay.
Okay.
So if it is it cost of goods sold, would that be the 1480?
That is the quantity.
Okay, I'm just gonna listen.
So the 2034.03 would be the toys, right?
Correct. 2034.03. Yes. So, Adina, why can't we not journalize what was the number? Why can't we not?
Because I'm completely lost and confused.
Okay, that's fine. I'll go back and answer it in a second. So my question to you is why can't we not journalize 1250? Why can we not journalize 1250 under here?
It's not a monetary value.
It's not a monetary value, and that is a rule of GAAP. It is the third assumption, monetary assumption, that you need to have everything in terms of dollar value. Okay, so here it's 2034. Was it 03?
Yeah.
All right. What is my cost of goods sold?
1735.97.
1735.97. All right. And then what is my purchase returns and allowances?
242.50.
242.50. Hold on. Sorry. I might making you guys dizzy. 242.50. And what is my total purchases up here?
38.62.50.
38.62.50. Yes. 38.62.50. And what is my total freight here?
150.
All right, and add these up to get add up your debits and credits, and they should match. Okay. I feel like I think I might have done this wrong. Not the ending balance, but including this little thing right here. So this is because I decided not to show you the other way, which is to actually calculate everything afterwards. So let's go ahead and look at it that way real quick, okay? So in this case, if I'm looking at my first batch of 1,000, right? And I know I returned 200, I'm gonna actually have to recalculate this so then it would become 800. And that's the one that started off with first, right? I wanted to show you the longer way instead of showing you the short way. Now in this case, this is where we calculate the 800, right? Because we know we started off with 1,000, but we returned 200 items. So we no longer have 1,000. We only have 800, right? So I'm going to clear this out real quick. All right. The cost per item is obviously going to change because now we no longer have the full amount of my 1050 anymore. We need to ultimately take out $200. So what is 1050 minus 200?
$8.50.
Yes, 850. Okay, so this is me adding them two together by just doing it here in my workspace right now. Okay, this isn't me actually calculating. This isn't me separating each one. I don't know if that makes any sense. Though the first way I showed you was to calculate it so you don't make any changes. Okay? The second way is I'm making my changes as I go because again, I don't have 1,000 items anymore. I only have realistically 800. So my second batch of 850, I still actually do have 850. But this time I need to take out for my discount $12.50. So this is where I messed up here. I forgot to include that. 850, right, gives me a grand total of 1107.50. So 1107.50 subtract my $12.50 and what do I get?
$10.95.
$10.95. Okay, so this is becoming 10. Oopsies. Where did my cursor go? $10.95. Okay, even. Now, I need to recalculate my new cost per item because $10.50 divided by $8.50 will get you a completely different number than what is already calculated up here. But we need to figure out what that number is so then we can adjust this number to get the correct total cost here. So what is $10.95 divided by $8.50? What's my cost per item now because I had a discount?
1.288235294.
Yes, so 2, 3. Okay, so that's enough digits now. Now let's recalculate using this number here. All right, because 800 and 850 gives you 1650. We don't need to get to 1650. We need to only get to 1480. So how do we calculate this now? Since it's going to be 850 minus, what did you say, Julie? What was it? Minus 230?
Or 680. Is that what you're talking about? What are you talking about? I'm sorry.
So our second batch, right, has 850. That
We
is
needed 680 from the
okay.
850.
All right, we need only 680. Now from here, 680 multiply this long number, what do we get here?
876.
876 even?
Yep.
Okay, perfect. Even number.
876. You have 867.
876. Okay, thank you. 876. Okay, good. Now, this is us combining what we know. We're taking our purchases and we're combining our returns and allowances because these affect what we made a purchase for, right? That's the purpose of purchase returns and allowances. But we need to calculate it as we go in here as well. So this is going to take a lot of brain power to really understand, okay? So for example, do we really have 1,000 units in the very beginning? No, we returned 200 items. So therefore, it's now 800. So this is now me making my adjustment here in my workspace to calculate for my total cost of my goods sold. So in this case, it's 1480, but I believe because I forgot to include this discount right here, this number should change by very small. What is 850 plus 876?
1726.
1726 even? Okay, so I was off by $12 and let's see what I'm off by. Wait, 1726? 1726 minus 1735, 97. Yeah, I was off by a whole dollar. I mean, a whole $10. So this actually number is going to be 1726 even. And then whatever my dollar amount here is, it should be 3,770 minus 1726. It should give you 2044. Okay, I apologize. I forgot to add that discount, so it threw off my answers just a little bit. Okay, but here, this is exactly why when we go moving into chapter 6, this is very crucial because I'm going to test you on this part too. This is going to also apply when we look into our actual fictitious business later on in the end of the term. So again, this is what happens when we deal with purchase returns and allowances. Okay, we calculate all of our purchases just as normal, right? This is because this is only dealing with our purchases. However, everything that we've returned or discounted will affect the actual result as far as the true value of your inventory, right? So again, we started with 1,000, but we returned 200. Therefore, we got 800, and we adjusted the value as accordingly. Here we had 850, but we attempted to return, but we got a 20% discount off of the 50 items we returned, which means that we still have the same amount. However, it is lower than what it originally cost. Therefore, instead of having it at $11.07, we subtracted the $12 and 50 cents from this to get a lower number, which we had to recalculate the cost here. Now, you're going to ask me this question here. Why can't I fix it up here? Why can't I just change it as I go up here, like make this 800? Because then your purchase expense, every value here will completely be different. It will add you the cost, it will add you the purchase price and the freight expense, right? It's going to give you a total cost that's going to reflect down here, and therefore how would you zero out your purchase returns and allowances if you got rid of it already? So every account is very specific. You cannot change this right here. This has to stay at 1,000 because ultimately you're going to get this number. This is your total purchase expense. This is your total freight expense. And this is your total here. If you do change anything here, it's going to change your journal. And when you change your journal, right, you can't zero it out because you're going to end up getting this mumble jumble numbers that doesn't make any sense. And this is exactly why I'm explaining it afterwards, because I want it to make sense to you that we don't calculate until the very end. All right? Any questions in regards to this? So this is going to be the difference from here, from above.
Yes, I have a question.
Yes.
In regards to the top quantity that we use, the 800.
Uh-huh.
So we returned 200 of those and got a $200 credit. Why
Correct.
aren't we in the total cost per item?
We did, didn't we?
No.
Oh, because we're using the whole batch. There's no purpose to recalculate. That's an extra step if you want to do it. But we're using the whole batch. So we can safely assume that the whole batch of this is going to be 88.50, because previously it was 10.50, but we already subtracted the 200 out. We're going to take the whole batch, so there's no point to have to recalculate a cost per item. Okay?
We only have 800 because we returned 200 of the 1,000.
Can you repeat that question again?
So, because we originally had 1,000.
Correct.
And then with the freight made it the 105.
Correct.
We returned 200. We still leave the cost per item the same.
You can recalculate it. What I'm trying to say is, if you do recalculate it, you're just adding an extra step for you. Because we're going to get rid of that entire batch. Mm-hmm. Now, yes, you can do that. So go ahead and solve that for that. Do 850 divided by 800.
The reason I'm asking is because you did recalculate the one with the discount.
Okay.
That makes sense to me. The discount, in my head, I feel like the recalculation would have been the 200 because you sent that back, and the discount's just a dollar amount that we were deducting. So why would we change that one and not the other one?
You can go ahead and do 850 divided by 800.
Well, then it's just going to change all our numbers.
Yes, because we have to, because again, we can each item costs $1, correct? But because we don't include freight, we need to redistribute the freight amongst all the items. So it's no longer going to be $1.05. It's going to be now $1.06 now. Mm-hmm. And yes, you have to do that because now instead of distributing the freight amongst 1,000 items, we're going to distribute $50 amongst 800 items. So this number is going to be the factor, because if we did return our freight, then yes, it would stay at $1.05. But in this case, that's not how shipping works. You cannot get money back. You cannot go to the post office and say, I want a refund on my package. They're not gonna do anything. They can't. Because it's not, you paid for the package separately than what you paid for the item for. So this one, you just have to recalculate your cost spread amongst 800 items instead of 1,000 this time. And you would actually get 10625 or something like that. But because we're getting rid of the entire 800 batch, is it necessary for you to recalculate it? No, that's just an extra work of step for you there. Because you're ultimately going to take 800, multiply by the 1.625, and you're still going to end up with $850. Okay? So, in this case, because we got rid of the 200 and it costs you $200 to get rid of, you have to adjust the ending, which is the value is no longer 1050 anymore. You got a refund for $200. So my accounts payable is now 850. Yes?
Yeah, 849.80. So then we're just rounding to 850. Correct. Because when you times that, it's 849.80. So we're just rounding.
849.80.
Got my
Oh.
calculation wrong.
Huh.
I get 850 even.
Oh yeah, I calculated it wrong. Yep, you're right. It is 850.
Okay. Yeah, no, no worries. All right. So, I think if you can just visualize it and be able to calculate it and adjust it at the same time, I'm going to tell you that this is going to be the easiest way to understand what happens when purchase returns analysis comes from. Now, Mr. Sanchez, he teaches you this way. He teaches you to take this entire amount here, place it here, so you have 1,000 here, you have the 850, you have everything normal, right? And then you tack this in with negative numbers. And that's why I was trying to teach you that way, because that's his way. That's his method, right? To calculate this ending inventory. But I don't think that method really works, because essentially you are doing the same thing, but you're showing it with less clutter, if I should say. So instead of actually saying 1,000 minus 200, you have 800 right there. Yes, makes sense?
Yeah.
Okay, so it's up to you what you guys like better. I mean, I personally think this is a little easier. It's easier to see. It's easier to keep track of. But it's ultimately up to you. If you think the first way was a little better, I kind of thought the first way was a little confusing because you didn't know where to put everything. But it's up to you. It's up to your discretion. Right now it's 10:38. I'd like to go on a break real quick. And then we'll continue with the next portion. And I think tomorrow it'd be okay if we could just go ahead and continue doing this and maybe dive into chapter 6. We'll see. Okay. But yes, go ahead and take a break here. It is 10:40, so I'll go ahead and give you guys a generous 20-minute break. So please be back by 11. We'll just go ahead and do the next problem, and then we'll see if we'll end early or not. Okay. Okay. So please be